To expert voices joining in this morning. Meera Shankar, former Indian ambassador to the United States, is our first guest. Good morning, ma'am. Also joining us is Sarah Claire, a foreign policy analyst. Ms. Claire, if I can begin with you first to really understand what would be your opening remarks given what we've heard so far from President Donald Trump. He's of course been very active on social media as well. He says it's a big day for world peace. Iran wants it to happen. But the biggest question mark at the moment is that even if Iran has agreed to open Strait of Hormuz, it comes with a condition. They're still going to hold control over the strait. And let's not forget, possibly could be charging, a $2 million fee for each of the vessels to transit through the strait as well. Would you call this a successful diplomacy or a successful 2-week ceasefire to begin with?
Well, I think the fact that there's a ceasefire is very positive news. I think that the points that have been brought forth about the Strait of Hormuz, that's not a loss to America. We didn't want to stay around and police that strait. So, the fact that Iran and possibly Oman are going to be working together on that, and they may be getting money to help rebuild their country, which, the American people, I'm sure, are happy to hear. We don't want to pay for that. These are all things that just help move the ceasefire process along. And what we're really concerned with is the enriched uranium and, making sure that Iran, does not have access to that. So I think that'll be the point that'll really tell whether these negotiations can go forward.
Ambassador Meera Shankar, if I could quickly bring you in on this conversation.
The challenges still are the fact that we are not seeing all parties on the same page. Israel has already declared that they will continue to target Lebanon, particularly Hezbollah remains a huge concern for them. Do you think this ceasefire is going to hold, given that there is a lot of difference in what's being claimed by Iran and the United States on the other hand?
Look, given the possibility of both countries entering an uncontrollable escalatory spiral, I think a ceasefire is a very good development because it gives both countries the space to try to flesh out some kind of agreement, which might not meet, all the objectives that each has outlined, but will at least enable both sides to save face. For President Trump, I think he actually I think it was a strategic miscalculation to enter this war because negotiations were going on with Iran on the nuclear issue. And Iran had been quite cooperative, going by what the foreign minister of Oman said, that Iran had been willing to agree to dismantle their enriched uranium down to non-weapons grade, to not enrich uranium in future, to give a commitment never to now or in the future seek nuclear weapons. This was the basis for a possible deal in the future. So at the end of the day, after all this Sturm and Drang, all this violence, you have a situation where America is now seeing the opening of a strait which was open at the commencement of the war as a success. So at the end of the day, I think it's still a strategic miscalculation for the US and Israel. I think they were expecting that with the assassination of the top leadership in Iran, there would be regime change, the system would collapse. That didn't happen. I think they did not give due weight to the Iranian tradition of martyrdom or shahadat, which is celebrated in their history and their literature, including the assassination of Hussein. And Iran has shown that it is willing to stand up. So I don't want to go into who is, benefiting from this, but I think it's a good thing for the global peace and for the world community.
Provided it holds, Ambassador. and provided it
Yes.
stays.
I would like to hope, at
Yeah.
this stage, when there is a ceasefire, yes, there is a gulf between the position of the two sides. Yes, there is a possibility that it may fall through the cracks again, but there's also a possibility that it may hold. And I would like to veer on the side of optimism because I think that there's been terrible destruction in Iran. And for President Trump, too, the war has been unpopular. And the prospect of a prolonged military engagement would be even more politically unpopular, would hit the pockets of US consumers, and possibly impact the midterms, which are looming in November. So I think in that sense,
Correct.
it's good politics for
True.
President Trump.
Ambassador Shankar, I'm so sorry to